And we're live.
Where's my friend tonight? Hi guys, welcome to our 34th live YouTube session. I'm just looking for Lee. Whereabouts is he? Is he running late? Oh, there he is. He's got back from America and he's been on a keto diet. But as you can probably see, he's not with me tonight. But we've made the effort to bring him along in image. For the live audience who's with me, you're gonna have to watch it back when you get home to see what we're referring to. But yeah, so as I mentioned, we've got a live audience tonight, and welcome to subscribers back home. You may not recognise the background. It's just a black background, black curtain drop, and some branding. So we're actually in Hamley Tap. So we've decided to come up here and do some test runs in advance of next weekend's birthday party. So we're using StreamYard again, like we did last month. So you'll get the interactive screen overlays, and hopefully when your questions come through, you'll be able to see them on screen and interact with that. Unlike the image on screen shows, unfortunately Lee can't be with us tonight. He's got some other plans, so we've got a couple of guests from Brew York joining us. So we've got Ant, who you usually see as back on camera, and we've also got Chris joining us, who's our financial controller. So me and him will nerd out on the numbers later, and Ant will be pulling his hair out in between. So if you've got any questions for those guys, start having a think about them now, because the more questions we get, the better the event will be. So not much warning on this one, but if you can get the Brew Yorkie can out of the fridge, because we're about to drink it, so it can warm up. And then if you want to get the Fernando and Felippo out of the fridge as well, which is the let me try to get this right. It's the Muir Lower collab. So it's technically not a stout, it's a light stout, but it's definitely going to be better for being warm from the fridge. So you get those out now, we'll come on to those later on. But if you're watching this from home, please hit the like buttons, make sure you subscribe. It really helps us get our numbers up, and then it helps make these more interactive in the future. So the running order for tonight, I've mentioned two of them, because we're starting with the dark beer today. So running order is Brew Yorkie, the 4.8% chocolate milk stout. We're then going to move on to Break the Mold. So we're going big. We're going to go from 4.8% up to 8% almost straight away. So that's the IWD collab, the International Women's Day collab we did. We've got Adrenalina coming up after that, which is the brand new birthday beer, the 7% Hidden Springs collab. And then the last one is the Fernando and Felippo, which is the 8% more Slaughter collab. So I will get used to saying that more, after a while. And so these two beers haven't been released yet. So IWD Break the Mold only got released this week. The two birthday beers aren't even released for a couple of weeks. So any members who are joining from back home, you also got the unbarred honeyberry and blueberry sour collab. If you're a gold member, you also got some Empress Barrel Aged Heaven Hill, so some big hitting beers in the pack. So make sure that you submit your questions where you can. The more interactive we get, the better it is. And if you have any questions, especially for the guests who've got joining us, so it doesn't have to be number-based questions for Chris. I'm sure he'll answer other stuff about beer in general and his time at Brew York. And then with Mr. Piercy, I'm sure you want to know more about his graphic design skills. And believe it or not, it wasn't his photoshopping that got Lee on camera tonight. It was Pete. So when Lee watches this back and he's getting angry, you know who to blame. So a couple of subjects coming up as well, specialist subjects. I forgot to update this bit. I did the detail section. But the specialist topics tonight are our highlights from the past month. We've then got a bit of a chat about our birthday in general. We've then got a chat about the specific birthday beers we've brewed, and the theme around them. And then we've got the general what's coming now and next. So make sure that you get your questions in on screen or onto the info@brewyork.co.uk. So without further ado, let me get our guests on camera. I'll shunt across. Lee's vacated the space for me. So round of applause. Shall we do a round of applause? So if you don't know who Chris and Ant are yet, you'll get to know them shortly. Most of you will probably recognise Chris from his TikTok sensation the other week, our most viewed TikTok video ever, I think. And then Ant, you've probably recognised from lots of different things, but mainly on the camera on these streams. So first beer, Brew Yorkie. So it's a rebrew from last year. So we brought this out in time for Easter last year. and also coincided with the York Chocolate Festival. So the York Chocolate Festival each year celebrates Easter, and it's something that we try to do something. York's such a chocolate-themed city. It's got a lot of significant history in chocolate, as you're probably aware. So Terry's Roundtrees started in the city, and we have lots of. If you drive along near the brewery or ride a bike near the brewery, you can usually smell the chocolate from the factory being made. So quite a lot of heritage there. While I'm waffling a little bit about the beers, do you guys want to say something on camera? Do you want to say hello? Any shout outs?
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Hi.
So I'd like to give a big shout out to Jay from the warehouse.
Exactly.
Great work this week. Great work. I said I would, and I've done.
So yeah, Jay's been shirking off while the warehouse team have been doing a great job this week. So he wanted us to give him a shout out. So yeah, this is a shout out, not to Jay. A shout out to the rest of the team. So we
just the rest of the warehouse.
Not just the rest of the warehouse. Everybody but Jay.
Everyone but Jay. Cheers, everyone but Jay.
Cheers. So Brew Yorkie, like I say, you might have tasted it before. You might have had it last year. We do it in cask, keg, and can. The cask version is my favourite, just because this strength of stout, the serving style works really well. The warmth of cask beer brings out the flavours. We use lots and lots of different malt to try and make this beer taste the way it does. So 7 different types of malt gives it a nice complex backbone. We use some chocolate in the form of, we used chocolate last year. I think we've just used cacao nibs this year. Chocolate being the liquid form of cacao, and then a bit of lactose for the creaminess and body. So I still haven't tasted this year, so you two can talk about what you think of it while I.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent beer.
It's great,
I think it would have worked really well in an Easter egg. In fact, I'm thinking about a new TikTok video coming up shortly. I think it's lovely. It's lovely and rounded, really smooth, nice and creamy.
Yeah, I mean, this is good. I will say though, last time I had this, it was in cask and it was last year. I think the chocolate or whatever it's called brings a little bit more.
Yeah.
It almost tasted like a chocolate milkshake to me the last year. This is great, but I have to say that I think the chocolate gave it a little chalaka or whatever it's called. It gave it a bit more. It's probably quite cold at the moment. It's not given its full potential potentially.
Well, that's the other thing, because usually what we do is we'd leave it to warm up a little bit. So I tend, if I'm drinking stouts, tend to order the stout early and then have my pail alongside it, let it warm up. But where we are right now, although I'm in a short sleeve shirt and so is Am, it's not actually that warm up here. It's not cold, but it's not warm. We're on the mezzanine above Hanley Tap, so if you do hear any background noise, it's probably because of that. But I think the rowdy audience of, not the audience, sorry, the customers in the tap room have dialed it back a bit. But yeah, it's not too bad. But I think to warm this one up, it's going to need like a little bit of hugging with some bare skin to transfer the heat. So yeah, I had the. Well, actually, I'll lead on to one of the next topics because it's the highlights of the previous month, and the personal highlight I had was a visit that myself and my partner Sal went to Manchester for a long weekend over Easter, and I went down to Track to their tap room. So Anne went a few weeks back and mentioned it was worth a visit, and they had a 12% barrel-aged Imperial Stout on, and I did exactly what I said earlier. I bought a third of it, knowing that I didn't want to drink it at that point in time. Had a couple of other drinks and came back to it. It was so much better for warming up to room temperature. I obviously had a quick sneak taste as soon as I got it, but with this one, I think it tastes really good, but I think it'll definitely improve as it warms up.
Well, definitely. Did you get to try any of that black IPA down the track?
No. They had a red IPA, not red IPA, a hoppy red.
Yeah.
It was good.
That was good. That black IPA was good. Bit of a comeback.
Exactly. What about your personal highlight then, Chris?
I think my personal highlight was going to see my daughter in Madrid, which was really nice actually. A nice break. My daughter's studying there, taking the city life, the flavours, the food. No, it was great actually. Fantastic. I think my work highlights. I've got a few, but
Yeah,
I think
it's amazing, isn't it?
well, no, I think it's going to be the TikTok video. And, you know, I apologise if I go on about it, but something I'd never done before. A little story about how it happened. I'm sure Pete won't mind me telling, but it was I think it was the week before Easter, leading up to Easter, and for some reason I'm not only my financial controller, but I'm in charge of paper clips. And Pete wanted some paper clips. So I said to him, well, he could have some paper clips, but he had to give me something in return. And I eyed the Easter egg on his desk and said, how about I have the Easter egg if you have some paper clips? And he said to me, well, how about you do a TikTok video and then you can have the Easter egg? And that's how it happened.
Sounds like he still owes you something then. So he got paper clips and a TikTok video, and you
Absolutely.
just got the Easter egg.
Yeah. So
So if you haven't seen it, Pete, I think you need to drop a link to it in the chat. Well, no, we didn't actually cover your personal highlight, did we? I just assumed it was one of your many beer travels you've had the last month.
You'd probably be right, I suppose. Yeah, going off on the tours. I like to pop out every Friday and go and visit lots of places around the country. I started off, to be fair, going around lots of breweries, but I have to say, I've got a bit bored of going around breweries. A, you work in one, but B, they all live in industrial estates. And if you go to a lovely city, let's say I want to go to Liverpool, I go to Liverpool and then I spend a taxi ride to get to an industrial estate, and you ignore all of the beautiful city that's sat there. So I'm going to pare it back and come back and start going to actual good pubs in all of the towns that I've previously gone to, all of the good breweries. But yeah, I'd say personal one was probably Manchester. I enjoyed it and I didn't enjoy it at the same time. And the fact that I enjoyed Track, I also then didn't enjoy certain other breweries in the area that were very industrial. And I realised then my folly. And it gave me that's what I need to do. Go to the bars, because good bars sell good beer just as good as the brewery can, and so you'll get there. So yeah.
The timely one there is that Alphabet Brewery unfortunately just went out of business. They announced it about an hour or two ago.
Oh, right.
Which Alphabet Brewery, if you don't know, are just around the corner from Track, near Piccadilly Station in Manchester. So one of the breweries who've probably been around about the same length of time as us. They've got had Juice Springsteen, and then Juice Willers.
It was close.
Close, yeah. So we used to get tagged in them a lot. So yeah, it's another unfortunate casualty of the current economic environment. Speaking of which, you want to talk to us about numbers?
No numbers.
Yeah.
We haven't got to add some work yet.
Before we get on to the numbers, which I'm sure you'll all be riveted, I just want to have another shout out to Jay. Actually, Jason, warehouse manager. He's probably going to feature quite heavily in this session as well, because he gave us a bit of grief before the session, so he never gets a shout out. So, Jason, this one's for you. I'd like to say personal thanks. We had our year-end stock take, and again, wandering into the numbers a little bit, which is normally our month-end stock takes are normally hell. Jason, fair play to him, and the sales guys and the whole team generally nailed it for our final week of the financial year, and our year-end stock take just went like an absolute dream. So
that's your personal highlight.
That's a personal highlight.
Well, yeah, and I have many personal highlights, including having fish and chips for lunch this afternoon, which actually you enjoyed as well. Which upset everybody in the office. So, in fact, you could probably still smell it if you were here. Anyway,
I walked downstairs to catch up with how we affectionately call these guys pictures and numbers. So I went down to the pictures and numbers office, and it really smelled of fish and chips. And at that point, when I was just warming up my pasta, I was come on. But yeah, it was a very nice smell in there. But yeah, speaking of shout-outs, it's not to Jay. It's obviously not to Jay. It's to Lee and Arthur who do all the work in the warehouse. They need to say well done to those guys. Cheers. They carry Jay. Cheers, guys. But on a serious note, it has been a crazy week. We've got another crazy week next week. Because of bank holidays, we're always playing a bit of catch-up. But because of the birthday party coming up next weekend, we've got loads to do. We've got the whole warehouse still to finish, the whole brewery and warehouse to finish prepping for the birthday. and then still got normal production, so brewing and packaging to sort out. So the brewery team in particular have had a huge week this week. Not necessarily producing beer, but packaging beer. We've got loads and loads of beer to get out there. And then everybody, the sales team have been like working really hard to try and catch up on sales. And then the bar teams have had a storming few weeks. Bank holiday weekend has just put so much pressure on everyone, and they've come out with loads and loads of 5-star reviews on Google and stuff. So it's really pleasing to see when they get through a busy period and things have gone relatively smoothly. So hopefully you guys appreciate the work that they all do as well. And the best bit is actually going down and seeing them working hard in the brewery tap rooms and giving them a pat on the back, especially if you see Jay. He's a pat on the back. So I didn't talk about my work highlight yet. I don't think Ant has either.
No, not yet.
So my work highlight was mine and Lee's research trip this time last month when we went to Tampa to see what was going on out there. So as you saw from the imagery earlier, Lee's half the man that he was when he went to Tampa. I'm twice the man. I got Lee lost. So no, it was real fun. It was good to see what was happening in the beer scene out there, and it's amazing. It's not hugely different, but it's amazing how the customers' purchasing is very, very different out there. So the huge thing, we probably mentioned on last month's stream, is lager. It's just so big out there. Most breweries have 2 or 3 different lagers that they like to have on, but the weather really suits it as well. But no, it's really, really interesting, and trying some. I've got this weird thing where, well, not weird thing. Banana's an off-flavour in beer, so I've never really looked to try banana beers. It just doesn't really appeal to me. I also remember when my parents owned a pub, that was one of the guest beers they used to get on. It was a banana beer, and it didn't really work. No. So when I tried a beer out there, it was a banana Foster's, it's called, which is a type of dessert in America.
Not Foster's.
Not Foster's. It's not banana minced into Foster's, but if you want to try that at home, it probably tastes the same. So banana Foster's, and we tried it, and it was from a beer called Arcane. Amazing. It's probably the best beer I had in America. And yeah, the guys from the brewery really looked after us, wouldn't let us pay for a beer, which was always nice. And we got back and thought that's something I'd love to do. And then turns out one of the birthday beers we'd already planned on happened to have banana in it, which again, when I'd seen the initial recipe, I was really nervous about, but I'm really pleased with it now after I've had that beer and tasted it. It's pretty interesting. So lots of research done on that trip.
With the lager sort of side of it, what sort of lagers was it? Was it like your basic pilsners, or was it something different?
Very much German influenced. So not German, but Czech as well. So yeah, pilsners.
So it was classical lagers. They hadn't done anything daft with lactose or blueberries.
The guys coming across Hidden Springs have done a pastry lager. But it didn't have lactose in it. It was really nice, but it didn't have lactose in.
I'm not sure.
But the guys, the most popular ones are your traditional made lagers, but also dark lagers, so Dunkels, and different variations on lager styles. Yeah. And that's where I got my little Harry Potter one from.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So I got this beer stick, which is a giant, it's a small rod that giant, see? I told you. It's a rod that you heat up and you dip it in your beer. And it basically warms it caramelizes the beer and warms it up. And it's a really strange thing because you don't really want to drink warm beer, or warmer beer helps, but hot beer is just a very weird sensation. And the only thing I can compare it to is like when you bite a warm marshmallow that's been toasted on the fire, and you get that mouthful of you don't know whether it should be that hot or not, but you're getting the same sort of sweetness and stuff.
So it gets really hot then. It's not like just slightly warm.
Yeah, and these are like really crazy beers. There's like an ice bock, a 15% ice bock, and they give you half a pint. They dip a rod in it, evaporate a bit more, and charge you full price for it. And we all come running for it because it's such a cool gimmick. Burn all the alcohol off, and then we all love it. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, the lagers, like I say, it's just interesting seeing it outside of Europe. And I guess that's probably why not as many breweries in the UK focus that much time and energy on it, because there's so many breweries out there on our doorstep who are so good at it that it's hard to compete.
It's always started off like your Fosters, your Hofmeisters, etc., that lager beer is crap beer, and then when you go into craft beer, going, well, I'm trying to go away from that as far as I can. So you ignore lager as much as you can.
You want to go to the opposite extreme because you've had plenty of lager. But there's so many great lager breweries in the UK that you can try and see what's happening well. And to be fair, I think our production team in particular do a great job at making lagers. Golden Eagle, our Pilsner, I think is
that last Golden Eagle was absolutely.
We gave it some extra time in tank. It's one of really I can say it because I don't brew it. It's the guys who are brewing it, but I think it's one of the better, if not best, examples of a UK brewed Pilsner.
Yeah.
And then we've got Alpine Eagle coming back next week, which if you didn't get a chance to try it back in December, it's a beer we brewed for the Winter Hut, which is a American style rice lager, and we've rebrewed it because it's there's a lot of demand for it based on what we were seeing out in America. And I'm really, really excited to have that back. It's going to be a really nice addition to the range. It's going to be a little bit lower in strength, so 4.1, I think, 4.1%.
Yeah.
So it's just a bit more accessible in anticipation of the nicer weather. So look out for that. It may be in your box soon.
Yeah.
Work highlights, Sam?
Sorry, I'm just moving the microphone.
Yeah,
that is my highlight.
That's
right there.
playing with the
That's
microphone.
as good as it gets. No, in a strange way, I'd say my highlight has only just happened in a way that it's getting the birthday magazine, the one that's going to go into everyone's glasses when they come here for the birthday.
It's massive, it ain't getting in your glass.
No, it's going out, and it went to the printers. So for me, it's like doing something, getting something sorted, hitting deadline, getting it off, and getting it sorted. To me, I love that because that's what I do. It's a strange thing. It's what I enjoy. So, yeah, it's not going out to Tampa and drinking nice beer. It's just I'll stay here and I'll produce a booklet, and it makes me happy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are all the things I used to enjoy. So counting the month-end stock take, that was used to be my highlight. Making sure the printing was done on time, that was even better. But it's a chore now. I don't like going to Tampa, so let's find something more enjoyable for me.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's been really good this week to come back after Easter and see the progress on how things are going for the birthday. It will still be a last-minute dash right up until next Friday, but I feel like we're a good week ahead of where we were this time last year, and we've obviously got last year's experience to build upon. So it's like me doing a commentator curse here, but I do feel like we're in a much better place. And hopefully you guys didn't notice it last year, and it was just a nice experience of coming down. But for us, it was mayhem until about 5 minutes before you came through the door.
I'd say about half hour
after. Yeah.
They're like ducks on the water, sort of like paddling like
exactly
underneath.
And then trying to distraction techniques to try and avoid your eyes from what wasn't there.
Look over there, beer.
Quick. Yeah, it was good. Did we? No, we did. Yours was counting with Jay.
Work highlights. Well,
that was personal, wasn't it? Counting with Jay.
Well, yeah, a bit of a crossover. I think just generally, obviously, it's been about 5 months with Brew York. Getting to grips with things, becoming more familiar. Just every month, just trying to get better, really, I guess. It's great. I mean, we'll see next week. We'll see what our results are, and I guess that's the proof of it, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. You're gonna have to type that into speech so we can show it on screen. Joe just asked, or Joanna just asked from the audience, is he looking at moving into brewing? I think
I would like to think so. Eventually, I need to get the numbers sorted first.
Brew by numbers.
But numbers indeed. Tom's Tom the head brewer keeps asking me when I'm going to go and brew and have a day brewing with them. But
to stop asking me now.
I've got to go as well.
I need to get the numbers sorted first, I think.
We could do that. You two could do a collaboration and we just call it pictures and numbers.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then we do the other collab, the away one, and call it numbers and pictures.
See which is better. Do a vote. So, how are we doing for time?
Not too bad. 25.
5 minutes early, so we've got time for some questions.
Yeah.
I saw the wheat steak comment. I think I don't know. It's a bit further to go to the toilet when we're up here, so I might have to cross my legs. I didn't realise it was a late addition to have both these guys on at the same time because I felt it'd be a bit bad of me to run off to the toilet and leave one of them on their own. But now there's two of them. There's no excuse. I can go to the toilet when I want.
What we will do is we'll sit here and we'll tell everybody all the knowledge that we should.
You'll do the lead.
Yeah.
So, question from Tom. Well, you guys can read it on the screen. I don't need to read it out.
I don't know.
The audience can't see it. So, a question from Tom Frost. So, why? I think we do. Why do strong stouts often still get a best before date of a year after canning, when presumably they'll still be best after several years? So that's it's an interesting one. So that's it. Just because a beer could and should taste good after a longer period of time, we don't necessarily want you to just keep sitting on these beers unless it's something like a barrel-aged beer, because there's no guarantee of that. We take the risk here. We put it in a barrel, we sit on it, and then if after a year or 18 months it's not tasting great, we don't package it. Whereas at home, if you take that risk, you might have to pour it down the drain. So it's more of a risk mitigation. I'm sure the beers would be fine, but we need to put something on there. And it's not a use by, it's a best before.
It's a best
it will taste
before.
best.
Yeah.
Which is technically not always true, but it's a recommendation.
You can't have a best in between 12 and 24 months.
Yeah. I mean, we've got one of those coming up, actually. That's a good question, but I'll come back to that, Peter. We had a few kegs of barrel-aged, what's the Napa beer one, the blueberry one?
Revenge.
Oh, it is Revenge.
We just had that it tasted a bit so at Christmas. We tried it. And then we tried it again just now, and it was like, that's chalk and cheese. Absolutely chalk and cheese.
And it was one of those beers that when we brought 2 years ago for our birthday, when we brought these out, I wasn't the biggest fan of that one. It was a blueberry. No,
it's the pink heaven maple.
Sorry, I'm getting muddled up here. So it's a Revenge, which is the pecan one, is coming out shortly in barrel aged. You'll take mind. But the first one, New Beginning, which is the Simcoe collab, when we brought it out, it didn't really do it for me. It wasn't the best blueberry stout we've done, because we had Nothing Else Matters, which was an amazing beer, and this one just kind of tasted like an okay imitation of it. If I'm being really harsh, but that's what I felt at the time. And then we had a keg of it in I found in the cellar at the brewery. So it wasn't specifically barrel aged, but I hooked it up to the coupler and tasted it, and it was beautiful. It was so good. Almost 2 years old, so technically past its best before, but it tasted so much better. It was smoother, it was rounder, all the flavours, and just worked really, really well. So I was excited to get that on in the tap room when the guys put it on, and I'm really excited to see what it's turned out like in the barrel.
Yeah, that'd be good.
The one that I said to jump back to was a question from Pete. So Pete asked if there'll be any cask beer on at the birthday. Quick answer is yes. Two of them. How many taps open as normal? So if you've not been since last year's birthday, the temporary bar we had at the time is now a permanent bar. Every weekend we open Hamley Tap up, and it's got 2 cask lines and 10 keg lines. For the birthday, we're going to up that to 4 cask lines, and then we're going to obviously add loads and loads of additional bars for the other breweries and for ourselves. So there'll be a lot more choice. The 4 cask beers, Karma Chameleon, something we always pour here. Maris, our English bitter, something we pretty much always pour here. The other 2 beers, cask beers, I'll tell you a little bit more about later on, because maybe it's something to do with our birthday. Have we got any more questions, or should we?
Here we go. It's one for Ryan.
So, Ant's favourite tap room being on his travels. Well,
besides Brew Yorkie,
obviously,
and then second best behind Hanley.
Well, there's 3 great tap rooms with Brew Yorkie. Probably 4, maybe, I don't know. Depends how you class the tap room, but.
Let's narrow it down to your choice has to be an actual production facility and a bar.
I'll tell you what. Yes, Full Circle.
Yeah, that really cool place.
Full Circle, absolutely stunning place. That was. I was thinking of all the other places.
Wyland's pretty impressive to view.
Wyland's impressive, but I never really got round to go. They wouldn't let me in, and I said, don't you know who I am? They went, no.
And they were like, are you
it's
Lee
like,
Grabham?
Are you Les Grabham? No.
It's that viewing gallery, isn't it?
Viewing gallery,
full circle.
beautiful.
And you look down, and all the brewing kits,
Yeah,
neon lights,
looks
and
really
it just
good.
looks really sensational.
It's nicely put together.
So,
Yeah, that was good. One of the other, I did like salts. That was quite nice.
Yeah. So, have you been
I haven't
since they added
been
the extra
recently.
tanks?
No.
So myself and Lee were up at Salt on Friday for a Good Friday doing a collab brew.
So
So
bring that in there, you see.
all right, leading me
How
in,
it
teeing me
works.
up. So the return of Hopbusters. So Hopbusters, which is the pale ale we brewed here, which is the one of my favourite beers we brewed last year. Really, really cool beer. So Salt reached out and said, can we do a return leg and basically same base beer, just mix up the hops. So we did that on Friday. Really, well, I'll lie and say I'm really looking forward to it, but it's Sabro hop, so I'm like,
Oh, well.
so obviously very, very popular hop, but not my favourite. So I'm sure that we'll have the balance right, but yeah, Sabro is still Marmite for me. But yes, it was the first time I've been in probably 3 years, and last time I went, we did a beer festival there for Oktoberfest, and they had a huge area for like a stage, DJ, music, all of it. All of that's gone. It's just tank after tank after tank.
Right.
But it's still such a cool venue.
It
The front of it,
a nice venue.
yeah, it's like the hop. Well, it's the hop, isn't it? It's basically the hop with a brewery in the back of it.
That's it. Yeah.
Couple of pints of white wrap, and then onto the salt hay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
No, I was thinking of some other places that I went to, and it was like, but then I thought, where else should I go? Because I was thinking like Black Iris, because they do some really cool shit. Liquid Light down in Nottingham. So I've got a couple of mates in Nottingham. Obviously, I've got mates in Bristol. You may have guessed that. But is there anyone else out there? Tell me. Let me know where I need to go, and I'll let you know what I think of them. Thank you very much.
What's your favourite taproom, Chris? Obviously, besides Brew.
Favourite tap room, crikey. My garage. If I'm completely honest with you.
I'll be round in a minute.
Yeah.
Next Friday then. Yeah.
I've not done a lot of brewing lately, but I have to say, when it's in full swing, it certainly had a fair few visitors. So no, I like that. I think I quite like the Roosters tap room actually.
Yeah,
Roosters Brewery.
Yeah.
So Roosters, they moved from Knaresborough a couple of years ago.
Canary's Brew.
Canary's Brew. Yeah. So am I allowed to say Turning Point? Yeah. So Turning Point are now brewing in where Roosters used to brew.
Yeah.
And that is a great tap room too. But I think I don't know. The first time I went to Roosters, I was a little bit underwhelmed by it. But I think the next couple of times I went in, I just thought it's great beer. Roosters has a place in my heart because that's what got me into drinking beer.
I went there first time, and I have to say I was different. I thought, wow, look at this. This is a lot different to what I thought it was going to be. Brand new, that great big window into the thing. I went, this is huge. Wow, this is cool. I love this place.
So
it was on the outskirts of Knaresborough, Hornbeam Park.
That's right. You get a train to it, so that makes it nice and easy, accessible.
Yeah, cool.
So myself and Lee went to America a few years back. I'd ended up with Tom from Roosters, who was out there doing a fact finding mission as well, research and development as well. And the guys, because of their heritage in that brewery. So if you don't know, it was set up 25 years, or maybe even 30 years, 25 years, if not 30 years. No, it's 30 years. 30 years this year. Yeah, so it's set up 30 years ago. And the guys who run it now, the Fozzards, bought it, I think, maybe 10 years ago now. And the brothers, Tom and Oliver, actually probably my age, not Lee's older than me. So my age, really nice guys. We got on really well with them, the twins. And had this running joke which they don't find funny at all, but I know which is which. You can obviously tell which brother's which, but I like to pretend I don't know. So I just talk to them as if I'm talking to the other one all the time, which I find hilarious. But
and do they call you Lee?
Yeah. Well, I call him Les. And
Les.
they don't call it to me to my face. I don't know. So we've known the guys a while, and when we were in America, they know a lot of American breweries. So they arranged to get us a couple of separate brewery tours. So we went down, looked at a couple of tap rooms. So I wasn't surprised at all when I went down to their new brewery and I saw it, because it's massively influenced by what they seen and done in America. That type of production facility with the big window going through to it. So if you came up to our birthday last year and you saw the brewery we've got, it's like us putting a big screen in so we can carry on brewing while you're sat in the tap room we're sat in now. So we just need to put a little viewing window, don't we? Like a periscope to take us round into the brewery. But yeah, what they did is really cool and massively influenced, I guess, by the American brewing scene. And really nice to go and see. So if you haven't been, it's their 30th anniversary festival on the 1st of July. We're going down for the to pour at that festival. And there's some really cool breweries from America coming across.
Yeah,
including what's the Odell? Yeah, so Tom Odell, is it Tom Odell, the owner of the brewery? It's coming down, so that should be pretty interesting. Go for a couple of beers with him and find out a little bit more about their brewery. Brewery tap rooms. We need to move on to the second beer, don't we?
Second beer.
We've thankfully you don't rely on myself and Lee anymore putting the visuals in front of you. There's someone off screen doing that, but it's completely blocked Chris on the camera. So he is back there somewhere. But yeah, the next beer was only launched this week. You can pull him out of the camera. So the next beer is the International Women's Day Cola we brewed last month. So it's called Break the Mold. It's a double IPA, so an 8% double IPA. Something we don't do a lot of, mainly because when we brew them, they don't sell that quickly, and they're great beers, but people don't necessarily look at us as a pale brewery. So when we do bring the really cool double IPAs and triple IPAs out, they tend to hang around a little bit longer than we'd like. And these beers are definitely best drank fresh, so you really want to be drinking them within 3 months. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of double IPAs, but I drink them like I'm drinking a cask beer, which I've got to be careful of.
Yeah,
that's all right.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I have to confess, it's the second time I've had this beer, and the first time I had it
From an Easter egg.
No, it wasn't an Easter egg, but there's an idea. So, the first time I had it, I'd had a Deuce Forsyth just before, which is almost like the opposite of this. I know it's still a light beer, but I think the problem is that the Deuce, and we've talked about this before, the fact that it does need a government health warning, because it's just a dangerous beer, because you drink the beer and it's 8% and you don't feel like it's alcoholic.
Yeah.
So smooth and fruity. So I had one of these after I'd had the Deuce, and to be honest, this just knocked me for 6. Actually, felt really boozy. But when you drink it after having just had the Brew Yorkie, you can really get the hops. It's not the booze is toned down. It's just nice. It's just like a West Coast, like it should be.
That's what I was going to say. It's like a lot of dippers nowadays are always really dank and hazy. If you haven't done it hazy, that's not a dipper. It's like, well, it is, but it's just not the style that you're used to. And I'd say this is probably more like a West Coast dipper and I think West Coast is the best coast.
100%.
That's what I'd say.
It's fact,
it's true. There you go. It gives a bit of bitterness, a little bit of like boozy hit. The hops are there. It's not just like sugar water. It's not a kid's drink. It's a drink for people who like beer.
We could put a teddy bear on it if it was kids.
Damn straight. That's how we do it.
Toy Story reference. So there's somebody who loves Break the Mold, who's joining us on camera at the moment. Off camera is Rachel. Yay! So Rachel arranged this beer for International Women's Day. So it was brewed by Nadia, one of our brewers, our female brewers, and it include lots of females from around the business and non-binary staff. So it was a really good day. Myself and Lee weren't here for it, but from all the things we saw, it looked like a great event and a nice, enjoyable session. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. But the beer itself is really, really simple. So it's got pale malt, malted oats, and my favourite, shit malt.
Shit malt.
Yeah,
Love
that's
that.
the one. And then going back to the West Coast that we've referenced. So if you're new to the stream or you don't know too much about East and West Coast beers, so East Coast beers typically softer, lighter, fruitier, and then your West Coast are more bitter, piney, and resinous. So your West Coast beers usually use the hops we've used in this. So Simcoe, Citra can be used in both styles, but Simcoe and Citra is a great combo for something piney and resinous like this. And Strata was the other hop we used in it, which is a relatively new hop, which has worked really well. These are my. I don't think Sal's watching at home because his sister's around. They're on a bit of a party, I think. So she won't mind if I turn up drunk later on because these are my weakness. When we first started the brewery, we had a beer called Optimist, which is our first ever double IPA, and I wasn't allowed to drink it before 9 p.m. because I used to taste it. It was so easy drinking, and then I wouldn't remember the rest of the night. So I was banned from drinking that beer. So I'd probably be banned from drinking this, but we've got so many beers now. I wouldn't. There's so much to choose, so I could jump onto the other.
And then you made a cocktail out of hot mist and it destroyed me as well.
Oh god, that was a good one. So really cool beer. So I'm really pleased with what the females in our business have managed to achieve in this. It's such a good tribute for International Women's Day. We did lots of different things for the event, and it was, like I said, it was all coordinated by Rachel, who's our head of marketing, and she also runs the foundation, the Women on Tap. So we've got lots of good links in the industry to try and help promote initiatives like this. So we did the beer social. So that was the event down our tap room for an invite for women to come down and enjoy beer in a safe space. Try and encourage people to break the industry perception of who should enjoy beer. Trying to break down the barriers to that. I've got an interesting story that we've been chatting to Rachel about today about Marks and Spencer's, which we'll come back to in a bit. We did the brew day itself, so obviously opened it up to all the females in the business, but also to the wider our customers and also other people in the industry, including Egalitarian, which is it's not a charity, but it's a CIC, I believe, who basically try and make bars a safe space for women. So it isn't this beer, but the
Break the Noise.
Brave Noise beer. You say break the noise.
Break the Noise.
You've already had half a can of this, haven't you?
Too much.
So the Brave Noise beer we did was some of the proceeds raised from that beer goes to Egalitarian to help promote a safe space for women to drink in the industry. So it was those two events. And then obviously the YouTube session. So while we were in America, we handed over the reins, and then the team did an awesome job of looking after it without us, which was great because it meant that once we'd done our stint, I got to sit and drink some American beers while Lee was feeling so ropey he couldn't even touch a beer that day. It was horrendous. We got there. We were hosted. It was our main event day where our beer was pouring and he couldn't touch beer. He was about to be sick. It was ridiculous. But the team did a great job. It was really good to tune in and watch that while we were away.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing, and I think we should start looking at doing some more stuff like that because it's not just for Women's Day and it's not like just for Pride Day or whatever. It's not a token thing. We have to look at making sure that this is something that is across the board. It's not look what
it's
we did.
It's an everyday thing, isn't it?
Look what we did. We've done something. It's like we have to make sure that we're doing the best we can to make it so we don't have to say we're having an International Women's Day. We're just having a day. So let's just promote it all. It's good. Let's do that.
And it's we're sat here as three males on the camera at the moment, but that's only because I dropped it on everyone that I needed someone to join me on camera, and everybody panicked. So to be fair, it was I had to settle for these two. So they're doing a good job. But no, it was. So we do want to do more of this. We want to feature the team more often, and it'll be a complete balance of who's available and who wants to do it. Because
it was. I mean, last month's was amazing. It was a great session, and I even sent it to my mum.
Yeah,
and she, who's 89, and she absolutely loved it. Well, she's not I wouldn't say she's a big beer drinker, but she completely gets it, and yeah, it is. It's a great, it's something that's definitely worth shouting about. And I think the point you make, Ant, about I don't again, I wasn't here for it because I was away in Madrid visiting my daughter.
We keep doing the drop in.
But it did feel as though it was natural. It didn't feel like it was contrived or forced.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the point you're making.
That's
is
it, yeah.
It's kind of almost like it's an everyday kind of event, and okay, we need to push it harder, but I don't think it was just playing it to the camera.
No, it definitely wasn't. Yeah.
And if you haven't caught them already, the other thing we did is I believe it was Rachel did all the interviews, but went around and interviewed all the female members of the team and put an article on the website. So if you haven't seen it and caught it, go back and look at it. It's really interesting just to see how much contribution that the females in our business play and how they help us do what we do. So look out for more of it. We will, we do, like Ant said, it's a great point. We don't want it to feel like it's a specific event. Yes, it is, and we will do a lot more to promote and feature heavily when it is a big event, like International Women's Day. But more and more when we do everyday events, we want it just to feel as natural as it really is here. It's just unfortunately some people are a bit more camera shy than others.
So it's not a shout out to Jason. It's a shout out to all the women at Brew York,
Exactly.
and all the women in brewing generally.
And this beer in particular, the recipe I believe was actually Tom P's. So I think he worked on the recipe, but Nanny did a cracking job of brewing this beer. It's really, really good, and especially with it, there's not much to hide behind. So stouts are a little bit easier to hide behind when they're stronger. Pale beer, you haven't got much to go at. You've got to get the balance right, otherwise the hops don't taste good. So cheers to this.
Yeah, this is a damn good beer. What do you
Drinking
guys
it too
think
quickly,
out
to be fair. For
We all liking it?
the strength, but.
All good.
So yeah, we've
It's
seen
all right,
loads of positive feedback on the
What we like out on the in the interwebs. All good.
Oh yeah, people absolutely. So I'll pop comments up again.
Stick some comments up.
Yeah.
Let's have a go.
There with.
Let's try out the new tech.
So it's obviously our birthday party next week. I might have mentioned that a few times. But it actually was our birthday on Sunday gone. So our birthday is the 9th of April. It's when we first launched Brew Yorkie. We had a big party down at the original brewery. And it's when we normally hold the festival. We try and get it as close to that date as possible. But with it being Easter this year and how expensive hotels and accommodation are in York, we pushed it back. And it's obviously next weekend now for the celebrations. But it was interesting because you get all the different camera memories pop up and they give you some interesting flashbacks. But one of the things that I wanted to do at this feed was get Andy on camera. If you don't know him, Andy used to be he was employee number 1 for Brew York, and he used to be our taproom manager. He's then done pretty much every role in the business. He currently works in the web store. But he's done, exactly. And you won't know him as Andy, you'll know him as Watters, because he was doing the events for a long time. So he's probably the face of Brew York for a lot of people. And I just said to him, he's such a funny person. His sense of humour is very, very akin to mine.
Dry.
And I wanted to get him on camera, but we probably would have had to have the censor button. Not necessarily for justice swearing, but sometimes the things he would say would probably get us in trouble. But I was trying to get him on camera, but we can't even get photos of him for social media. When he was at an event,
Unless he fell asleep on a train or something like that.
So if you go on our website, I'm pretty sure his picture on our website is him asleep, because that's
asleep,
the only time I can get a photo of him. Nothing weird, not in his bedroom. He was asleep on the train.
The train. That was 5 minutes out from York going to Harrogate.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like, how was he fell asleep?
He fell asleep stood up once in the Sportsman's at our first event in Huddersfield. And he's got a knack for sleeping at inappropriate times, including driving back from London. Anyway, usually when he's not behind the wheel. But,
I was going to say.
So a couple of things. The topic being our 7th birthday, I thought I'd just put some prompts down to remind me of a few things. What would be really cool to see from people, in the audience and down at home, is dialing in like it's old school broadband. What are your favourite Brew York beers over the years? What would you like, not necessarily like to see back, but what's nostalgic? So the one that I pester Lee with all the time, which he hates, is Little Eagle. So Little Eagle, when we had that on Cask, it was Sriracha Ace. which is his nemesis hop. Like it's my Sabro, but yeah, he hates that beer. But it was such a good seller for us. It was like the first of a long number of our most popular beers, and we discontinued them. Yeah, that was one of the OG ones that he despised. But we are returning with a few different original beers for our birthday, which is what I said we might be featuring on Cask. So there's going to be two different beers poured on Cask. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys like, and then I'll tell you later on which ones are coming back. So
I remember some of my favourites was Optimist. That was absolutely banging. When it got it just right.
Optimist was a collab originally with North Riding, Stu from North Riding.
And then the other one was Nuba. I quite like Nuba. Old school.
The original time traveling taxi. Well, it was the parent of. And then the other interesting one is I'm just wondering how many of our birthday parties have people been to, including launch party. All of them.
Is that all of them? I don't know.
So if
how many were there?
This is the test because there's the launch party. So I had to do some research and prompt myself because I keep forgetting them. There's a launch party where we got a lot of noise complaints because we were basically putting a music festival and a beer festival in a residential zone. We then had our first birthday party, which was very much focused on the music.
Classifying city rails and stuff like that?
Not city rails, no, because they were like a few months down the line.
Yeah.
And then the third birthday party was the first time we made it into a beer festival where we brought other people in. So that was a good one.
The beer hall opened?
It was an unofficial sneak peek of the beer hall.
Yeah.
And we had guys from Magic Rock came down, Electric Bear. We then had Fierce and got to look for them. Oh, they don't exist anymore. Mad Hatter.
Yeah, that's it.
That was a real cool festival. But when I look back at the photos, I just cringe at how bad the beer hall looked because it was a shell. We just stripped it back, ready to start doing the build.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting one.
So I just started before then, literally about a month. It was like, wow.
Yeah,
this is just floorboards. Nothing's going to happen.
So the bit that I didn't realise I hadn't wrote my notes down properly, but the third birthday in 2019, I can't remember which breweries featured.
For the birthday, that's the third birthday, isn't it? And that would be.
So anyone at home can remember, then there's a prompt. You can probably Google it. It'll probably show up on Facebook or something.
I think I looked at it because I had to use a couple of the documents to copy into this birthday. I can't remember. You're right.
I can't. Which is really. Oh no! I do.
My God, like that.
No, I'm mistaken with Cake Fest. I just remember how many different people were there. And then, fourth birthday couldn't happen because our fourth birthday landed in the middle of COVID. So what we had done is we brought out lots of original beers again to launch, and we called them Brew York 2020. That was not a reference. We wanted on a beer after a few months after we brewed them. Why have we put 2020 on it? It's just the reminder of the year that people didn't want to remember. So yeah, Brew York came back. Big Eagle 2020 was the beer that I really remember because we discontinued Big Eagle because no one was really drinking 6.5% IPAs back then. Or stopped drinking them. Or 7. Yeah. And then we did the 2020 version, and we did it to 7.2%, and it was banging. It was really good. And then we dumped it down a little bit to enter into the SEMA beer competition. We got it down to 6.4% because that's the official highest strength you can put a IPA into, and it only went and won the best IPA in the UK. So that was the Informbridge at the time. So one of my personal favourite beers, Jaipur. So that was an interesting return there. And then Optimist, we mentioned that earlier. And Triple H made it.
Oh yeah, Triple H, nice. Yeah, I love Triple H.
We are getting a lot of comments of suggestions. Do you want to go through?
Yeah, sure.
Go on.
Yeah. All right.
We'll say yes or no.
Oh, Black Eagle, yeah.
Black Eagle, yes. Yes.
Black IPA, yeah.
DIPA, come back.
Lee will be keen to do that. Kiwi, you go for all the suggestions of the beers I keep vetoing when Lee has to bring them back. I love them. That is coming back this year, I believe.
I do like that profile pic, by the way.
Imperial Espresso Patronum.
Imperial. It was always.
Yeah. They didn't need the Imperial in the name. It was already a strong one. Yeah.
The King
John
of Brew
Muscati,
York.
Yeah, so John Muscati was a really cool beer. It was very, very complex, but I think it worked well. Red Danson, yeah.
I quite like that.
Interesting
as well.
one.
I like a red. What's this?
A Dua Lipa and a Dude Abides.
Well,
So Dude Abides,
wow.
you might enjoy the fourth beer we've got coming up tonight.
Yeah.
It's our Baraka Clava. So I love this beer, but
That's diabetes in the can.
a lot of ours are. Triple H and Hey Mango. Hey Mango. When we first brought that beer out,
So what was Triple H then?
just a hoppy, hazy, and heavenly. Obviously.
Hazy heavenly.
Pineapple Cubs from Allison. We're just all staring at the screen moving these suggestions. Stratus is a cool one, so barrel-aged Stratus is really good. I've got Impy Smart on Cocoa, another nice one, but very, very sweet. I'm not going to keep reading all these. There's some really good suggestions there, but no one said the actual two that we need.
Yeah, come on.
John Muscati, Kai was really cool, Tiramisu, and sort of caramel. So the ones you should have picked, the correct answer.
Imperial.
Correct answer is Brew York, obviously.
Yay.
So Brew York's coming back in Cask. So 5% session IPA, sessions, 5% American Pale Ale.
So good we named it twice.
Exactly. It was packaged today, actually, so it'll be ready in time for the birthday. So that's really good. And then Big Eagle's back again. So Big Eagle's back, and it's back in Cask. So Big Eagle's back because we've actually got a listing in Asda for it. So you'll start seeing that beer more permanently now because we're going to have to brew it all year round for Asda. So that's a really good bit of good news for us. And yeah, whenever we do brew it, occasionally we'll be able to do some Cask batch. So look out for it at the birthday. 6.5% Cask beer. We do like a strong Cask.
I've left this one on screen. Don't know if you want to talk about it, like.
Yeah, Obi-Wan Cannoli. I don't know if we might be bringing that beer back this year.
I've never heard of it.
So later on, we're going to talk about events and dates, but May the 4th, Star Wars Day, we usually brew a couple of Star Wars related beers. So watch this space.
That's right.
So I didn't even get as far as talking about our 5th birthday, which again we were restricted because of COVID, and that was when we brought out the Freaky franchise series.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of them are making their appearance now in 2-year barrel-aged beers.
Yeah.
And then last year, we brought out the Breakfast Club. The Advertising Standards Agency didn't like it, but they were one of your 5 a day, apparently.
It is one of your 5 a day. Soon. No. It is breakfast beer. Come on.
And then,
They can't
7th
sue me.
birthday. So we've got a few different beers coming out for our 7th birthday, but not 7. We decided that was too ambitious to brew and package enough beers in time for the birthday, and then to expect everyone to buy them to take home it's just a lot. So we scaled it back. We've got 5 beers for the birthday. You've got 2 of them in the box this month, 3 in the box next month, and then we did have a 6-pack beer, which is the one we're drinking now, available at the same time. So we could make a 6-pack. So at the birthday next week, I might have mentioned that a few times now. Yeah, we'll have some gift boxes that you can take home with you for a decent price, bit cheaper than you can normally get it to take home with you, or to ship home because York train station doesn't like people having cans of beer on a Saturday.
That's right.
Should I get tickets?
Yeah,
Get your tickets. Also, note to everybody, York train station will confiscate your beer after 6 o'clock on a Saturday. There you go.
unless you buy a Brew York branded mug, pour it into that, and then pretend it's coffee.
Get a growler. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Available.
Yeah, because we actually do sell our beer in the train station now,
Yeah.
but you can't then open it. So yeah, we'll move on to a few more questions, I think, if we've got some.
Indeed.
What's it say? I can't read it. We should put in the bins.
No, I think that Tom's asked, have we thought about including calorie count on our cans?
No.
He'd like to, thinks it'd be handy to know how many meals he needs to miss when he's having a session. That's the reason we don't. It's scary. So unfortunately, yeah, one of the major sources of calories in beer is sugar. And so if a beer contains lactose, there's a little bit more sugar than a beer that doesn't. And then even if it doesn't contain lactose, there is still a lot of residual sugar. So we don't, light beer doesn't have many calories because there isn't much sugar in it, but the enjoyable beers tend to have sugar. So
Alcohol also has empty calories in them as well. So you'll find that something that's like 10% will have 100 calories, even if it's got nothing else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think it's not a legal thing that you have to put calories
No,
on a
it's
beer.
not at the moment anyway.
It's a nice thing, I suppose, if you want to put them on, but you have to have it scientifically tested, and it costs a lot of money to get every single one done. So, if you don't have to, then you're not going to. And trust me, you don't want to know how many calories are in these things.
The best way is to time. We'll feed what as a can of alcohol, and then see how long you can go on the treadmill before he falls asleep.
That, yeah.
And then that's the calorie count. Deduct it.
That's right. That's how it works. That's scientific. That is.
So Melanie Fox wants to know when Chris is going to do another TikTok.
So that's a very good question, Melanie.
I like the dance image as well.
Melanie, so whenever you want to, I think there was mention the fact that the Brew York team were interested in doing a dance. So Melanie, when you're happy to choreograph the dance, we'll do it.
What?
When he says we'll do it, he means pictures and numbers, obviously.
No, I think you'll be up for it.
I think you mean numbers.
Numbers.
Yeah.
So we'll be busy doing pictures.
So Chris Gibbs has asked, I was seeing more of a trend in demand towards craft rather than cask stroke real ale. So first thing there, personally, cask and real ale can still be craft in my opinion. It's all crafted. It's made very well. But I think in particular, I'm guessing you're probably referring to keg beer versus cask beer. It's always been a funny one in York in particular. So when we first started out, we were a cask brewery because we didn't have the equipment or the knowledge or expertise to brew anything other than cask beer. And it's also York's a huge cask beer city, and it's something we wanted to support anyway. I love cask beer. I wouldn't ever not want us to be able to brew cask beer. But the demand for keg beer and canned beer in particular over the COVID period rocketed. So cask beer dropped completely off the radar. And mainly because it was so risky, it's such a short shelf life, and most breweries ended up losing a lot of money from having to pour a lot of cask beer down the drain, whereas the canned beer and keg beer lasted longer and we didn't have to destroy it. So there was a nervousness and a reluctance to rush back into cask, and it's now starting to relax a bit more. We haven't had obviously any COVID restrictions for a long time, so people are more willing to produce cask beer again, and we're finding in particular that our trade customers really want to buy cask beer. Whenever we brew a new cask beer, it sells rapidly. So we've got a new beer called Fennec, which is a blonde ale, and we brought the cask out last week. It was only packaged a week ago, and we only had a small batch from Warmgate. So there's only like 36 firkins available, and it all sold in about 4 days. So we have it in our tap room, and we'll have it in Pocklington. And then there's only a handful of venues around the country who've got it. But it's coming Fennec.
Oh, the Fennec one, yeah.
So it's coming back again. It's called Fennec, which is a reference to the blonde fox. So it's a blonde beer, so it's a Fennec blonde. So it'll have a little cute fox on it to appeal to the kids. So we wanted an animal on it to tie in with some of our other more traditional cask beers.
Shout out to all the foxes out there.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Especially the J Fox.
The which fox?
J Fox.
J Fox.
Yeah.
What's the J Fox?
He's not very big, but he does a lot.
Right, I know where you're coming from there. We won't give him a shout out though. So I think it's brilliant though, the fact that Cask is making a comeback.
Yeah.
I'm a massive fan of Cask, massive fan of all beers, but especially Cask. It's always been the poor relation. It was a dying breed, and I think it's great that it's so much in demand again.
It is. It's one of those things where there's not many countries in the world who have sellers or landlords capable of looking after the product because it's live beer. So we are spoiled in the UK that we have the ability to do that, to brew cask beer and to be able to trust the landlords to look after it. So because of that, we'd be fools not to brew cask beer to try and keep this amazing product going. And,
I think we are the envy of the world when it comes to cask. I know.
Is it one of those things though? And I know I'm going into numbers now, and I should know my
stick
lane.
to your pictures.
I should stick to my picture lane. But numbers-wise, personally, I think cask should be more expensive than keg.
Should be,
harsh subject, but it's the amount of effort that goes into making it, into producing the thing, and then into storing it and everything, and all of these things.
Absolutely.
And we all sit here and say how great it is, yet we only want to pay £2 a pint for it in Wetherspoons.
So
What's up with that?
For us to produce cask beer versus keg beer, so cask beer, it's the same ingredients, it's the same base beer typically. We personally use a different yeast strain on our cask than we do for keg, but you can use the same. It can be exactly the same product, and then we can turn a keg beer around actually quicker than we can a cask because we can fit well. Anyway, I won't go into too much details, but we can do either beer relatively similar period of time. So it doesn't cost as much more, but in reality what's happening is you're getting 30 litres of a product, a landlord is getting 30 litres of a product versus 40, because a firkin is about 41 litres, a traditional cask. Keg's typically 30 litres, but the landlords expect to pay the same price for both products, even though it's 25% more or 33% more cask versus keg, which is crazy, because then you go to the bar and the cask product's cheaper than the keg product, the same beer, cheaper on cask, despite the fact that the landlord has put so much more time and effort into keeping it as well.
So if the landlord keeps it right, the cask beer is a better product.
Yeah, and if it's a better product, surely you pay more for it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily have this beer on cask. I'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I think it'd probably be better in that format. But different styles for different beers. But the key thing is, like I said, is with the envy of a lot of other countries, they'll come. On Thursday, the international breweries who are coming to our birthday party are going to mention that next week. They're coming down on. They're riding with us Thursday, and we're going to take them for a couple of drinks into York to see it before we lock them in the festival, serving you guys. And I can guarantee most of them will probably just drink cask beer for the whole evening, because when you're in the UK, you're not going to drink keg beer. Even like UK keg beer, they can get in the country they're from. They can't get UK cask beer.
Yeah.
So,
that was it, like the guy from Ronin. It was like, take me in and go to the Maltings and get me some
all the tradition.
It's like, yeah, no problem.
Most
roosters.
Most of the pubs in York are older than America.
Well, yeah,
so
that's pretty much.
That's why they want to see them. So yeah, we do have a great heritage there, and we will continue to brew cask beer as long as we can. It's something we're really trying to push this year in particular. What are we doing for time?
Got the queues.
We're a little late, aren't we? No wonder I was feeling like I need the toilet. It's been ages.
I'm first.
Oh yeah, cool. So it's a good timing actually. We've got a new beer coming out, and it's called Unbelievable Hef. And it's a Hefeweizen.
Is it unbearable?
We go for unbearable or unbelievable?
TBC.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So Chris Kamara Weiss beer, or Hefeweizen. And it's a style that we don't really brew very often, and it came about from going to the different festival scenes last year, and just really enjoying trying some of these styles of beer that just really nice, and you want to drink them in a local country and try them out. So we've decided to give it a go this year and see what you guys think of it. The only other time we brewed a Weiss beer was what was that beer called?
So why are you thinking of that, Wayne? So one of my friends thinks Weiss beer is the goat's cheese of beer. Now,
put it on your baked potato.
Yeah.
Oh,
now my wife loves goat's chease. I'm not that passionate.
Tastes a bit goaty, doesn't it?
It does. It's
like you're licking a goat and eating cheese.
But I have to say that I think Weiss beer is very underrated in this country.
Oh, massively.
And I think you can do an awful lot with wheat Weiss. So I think this could be hopefully this will be the start of something. I think I'm really looking forward to it. Really excited by it. I've got plenty of family members that are keen, that want to try it. So yeah, should be good.
Well, going back to the roots, I think that the thing that got us into beer in the first place. So we talked a lot in the past about West Coast IPAs and American like hoppy pale ales and stuff. But the other thing before that, for me, that I went from lager as a young adult to trying to do anything but lager, and then drinking loads and loads of like wheat beers. In particular, it was wheat beers that got me away from lager. and then I started drinking pales, IPAs, and stuff like that. I moved away from wheat beers, but I like to go back to them every now and then. And this is, for me, this is what I'm quite excited about, going back to wheat again.
Sure.
So it's going to be quite exciting. Yeah. So while we're talking all bit, you can start pouring like I've just done on my hand. Our next beer, which is Adrenalina. We'll tell you a little bit more about the beer names shortly. By the way, did we get that Ant lost the sweepstake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, Chris. Yeah. So
Need to do what?
Kind of blocked your face again.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
Good.
yeah.
I'm happy with that.
You have
Sorry.
to
Can I have a little break?
head above the parapet
Breather.
for this one.
You've been Michael Wazowski.
So yeah.
Who had me? Who
Just-
had me then? Yeah.
So the next beer is Adrenalina, which is our Hidden Springs collab. Did I mention I went to Florida last night?
You didn't, and
No.
you also didn't mention. Is this for our birthday? When's our birthday?
Our birthday's next week. I haven't mentioned that in a while.
Hey,
Do we
That's a
need
great
to
idea.
do a TikTok with it? Sorry, didn't we?
So hopefully you've all got tickets to come to the birthday next week. And if you can't make it, we're sorry. But the beers will be available, especially to subscribers. You'll get a advanced purchase option and the usual discount. So we'll confirm more about that in the coming week.
Selling out fast.
Selling out fast, exactly. We're getting the sales pitch from the audience as well.
She's good. She's good.
So Adrenalina, which was brewed with Hidden Springs. So we first met Hidden Springs in Finland at Beer Festival last year, and we were cousins from different breweries who basically brew very similar style beers. They're massively focused on milk stouts and pastry sours. And we tried a couple of their beers and were blown away by how cool they were and the different flavors they had. So Josh, who owns Hidden Springs, is a bit of a tinkerer as well. So he went and purchased a nut roasting machine from a bakery that had closed down during COVID, and he started dialing his nut roasting in. And then, so he's got a nut roasting, a nut crushing machine. And basically, he can. Not Ant's favourite. But yeah, you can. So he experiments a lot with the different adjuncts that he puts into his stouts and sours. So we were pretty impressed with some of the stuff he'd done.
Does he use actual nuts then?
Yeah.
Does the oil cause any trouble with head retention and stuff like that?
So yeah, similar to us, where when we use coconut in particular, the oil kills the head retention, whereas something like this is good head formation and retention. So nut oils do tend to kill that in particular. But he's done a really good job of dialing in what level of crush, what level of roast, and everything to get the best out of it. So Adrenalina, again, name we'll come back to shortly, but it's based on one of their best-selling beers, which is a beer called Riot Juice, which is supposed to be pouring at our birthday next week. Unfortunately, that keg didn't arrive in the UK. They swapped it out for another beer, which does sound pretty cool, but unfortunately it's not Riot Juice. Riot Juice, I got to try out there, which is really good. It's a blackberry, lime, and vanilla pastry sour.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, the lime just throws you a bit. You're like blackberry and lime. It's a bit of a strange combo.
But it probably gives
It
a bit
cuts-
of zing
yeah.
and all that.
Exactly.
Nice.
So Lee and Josh got their heads together and thought, can we do a UK equivalent? So instead of blackberry, we've swapped that for rhubarb. Instead of lime, we've gone for orange. Not sure how
That's not
English
really
oranges are, but we changed that up. And then we retained the vanilla element. So yeah, when Lee mentioned this to me, I was like, rhubarb and orange? That sounds weird.
Sounds a bit weird.
And then he was like, oh yeah, but we're going to put a few other things in there as well. So obviously the pastry sour, the vanilla element still there, the lactose. But then they put a bit of cinnamon and ginger in there. So I tried it in tank before we packaged it, and I quite enjoyed it. So I'm going to see what I think now.
Is there cinnamon in this, or is that in the next one? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's got cinnamon. So
Is
there's
it?
a small amount of cinnamon in it.
Wow.
You're looking at the wrong beer right now.
I have no idea what I'm looking at, but there we are. No,
Yeah,
it's
the right
just the other one that I had with cinnamon. It was like Kirsch Russell for me, because I'm
Oh, yeah.
quite susceptible
Sensitive
to
to it, yeah.
cinnamon. It's like, wow, guy has too much cinnamon, but this is really subtle. So if
I like
it's
it.
in there, it's good.
It's I'm definitely not necessarily getting the flavours. I'm not getting rhubarb. which is a strange
not-
one because I've got to admit I'm not a huge rhubarb fan, given that we have rhubarb with Strata in the range. But yeah, I quite like
I'm
that.
getting a bit of
I like
cinnamon.
the orange.
It's like slightly spiced sort
Yeah.
of thing, almost Christmassy in a way. The orange and the cinnamon. I do get the cinnamon now.
So for me, I
what's he
think it's a
doing?
great beer.
Get off!
I like the fact that he used the black background as a screen. He put his hoodie up and then snuck on. He thinks it's a green
It's
screen.
like a green screen. Yeah, it's green, not black.
No, I'm enjoying that. I was very pleasantly surprised when I tasted it in tank, and I'm even more pleased now that was packaged beer. I think sometimes when we brewed last year, we did the juice beer, and it was so thick and smoothie like.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we bring new sours out, I'm just like, oh, please be that type of thick smoothie style. But I think this works really well. So
Yeah, that's good. I really like the sour styles, but is there a way that we can? I mean, this is probably not going to be good for live TV, but I really like sours that are sour.
yeah,
If you know what I'm saying.
to make
It's
you
like-
pull that face.
Yeah. And at the moment, every sour that I've everybody is making sours that are just like, well, that's a bit tart.
They're
But I remember when I went to Belgium and you drink all those quality sours that everyone just goes about,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, that's you got to fight them.
I think
That's the sort of
I think
ones
for
you
stuff
want.
like that, we need to go more acidic. So we need to leave the sour pitch in a little bit longer. Wait for the acidity to dial up a bit.
Yeah.
The downside with that is acid reflux and
The thing is
stripping
that
the enamel off your teeth.
I
and all,
guess
yeah.
the thing with that is you won't sell as many because people will just go, that was just horrible.
Yeah.
It's the problem that we all face. It's do you make something that's true to form, or do you make something that will sell quite nicely? Sort
Yeah,
of thing?
make it a bit more accessible. So sour beers are really, really divisive. I don't know how many people in the audience or at home really don't like sours. And when we put a sour pack together, it probably put you off buying.
Yeah.
But we hope that the sour beers we do let you taste different aspects of beer that you might not normally buy outright. So would I typically go for a rhubarb and orange beer on a shelf? Probably not. But it's nice to try it and realise that it actually tastes very, very different to what your preconceptions might be. So given everyone else has been to the toilet, it's probably my turn, isn't it? So,
Yeah, go on.
you two can do some questions, I think. Have we got any
What's the
specific
question?
questions for these guys?
Yeah, some questions. Stick your mic on. I'll put your mic on. And then, is it about that?
So, Chris, do you want to read it out for us?
Did Chris go to any of the excellent craft beer bars whilst he was in Madrid? Unfortunately, I have to confess, no, I didn't.
What? Unbelievable.
So we were only there for 4 days, and my daughter's not a big beer drinker, and neither is my wife.
What?
And up until about 18 months ago, actually, no, probably less than that. Neither was my son, and I think I put that down to me. I blame myself for that because I inflicted my homebrew on them for years, and they rebelled against it.
You might be in
So,
trouble.
yeah, well,
I
anyway.
think you're in
But no,
trouble.
she's drinking it now, and so is he. So no. In answer to your question, no, we didn't.
I'd like to say, I think La Sortilla, I think it means the bear, but that's
Right,
a good one
okay.
in Madrid,
Yeah.
basically because my old flatmate in university runs it. So there you go.
Sure. Yeah.
There you are.
No, but I think it's great the way in a former life I worked a lot in Europe, and back in the day all you could get was Heineken and Export 33, and you might be lucky and get some obscure kind of French version with whiskey in it, and it was
your best.
It was
to
awful.
go for craft.
It was well. It wasn't. I mean, back
Germany?
Well.
The
I think this was France. I spent a lot of time in France, and there was nothing. I think there's always been good stuff in Belgium, and if you like lagers, and obviously Germany. But there was no IPA. I mean, you couldn't touch it, and I was I was a bit surprised. Spent a lot of time in Budapest, and I'm in my previous job, and I was surprised at how they've embraced the whole craft beer movement, and it really is big, and it's a market that we're really trying to tap into, and it's hard to break it, the export market, but it's something that we're really trying to get into because there is a massive demand out there. People love British beers. I think people like our beers as well. It's hard work.
I went out. I remember going out to Finland. I went out there, and it was like, oh, I wonder what the craft beer's there, and it wasn't much advertised beforehand. But you get there, and it was like, we got so much craft beer here, it's ridiculous. And I just turned up on a day, and there was a craft beer festival in the middle of Helsinki or wherever it was, and it was like, I didn't know you were on. Why aren't you selling your beers elsewhere? And it was like, well, we like our beer, so we're not shipping it.
Yeah.
And it was basically, they keep all their beer themselves. Big up to Kimmy and the Bone Machine, by the way. But they keep all their beer themselves, and it was like, that's why I'd never heard of any beer from Finland.
Sure.
Was because they just went, we like it. Yeah. We're not exporting it, we're keeping it. And it was quite an interesting stance to do that in Sweden, obviously because of their the laws that they have that you can only sell certain things, etc. And then the Scandinavian, which is what I particularly like, the way that their beer laws and all that, you don't get to hear much about it outside of the country.
Sure.
But there's so much there. Obviously, we've got Lervig and Omnipollo and people like that, but I think they're the people who are really poking their heads massively above the parapet. There's a couple of others that just can't get out of that little market sort of thing.
It's the same in so in America, in Florida in particular. Florida is a big state, so there's lots and lots of big cities in there, and loads and loads of breweries. So just in Tampa, I think someone told me there was, I can't remember, it was like 80 breweries or something crazy like that.
How big's Tampa, roughly? It's going to be.
You can drive from Tampa to very big. You can drive from like Tampa to St. Petersburg, which is across a bridge, but the nearest city, and it takes you like 30-40 minutes to get there.
Proper America, huge.
Yeah,
right.
And then loads of breweries, loads of tap rooms, but they don't do anything other than their local market. That's all they focus on, and maybe the occasional pallet to export. And that's why when you see the beer in other countries, it's so popular because you never normally see it. They don't have enough beer to export, so it's such a rarity that it becomes super popular. And what kind of blew me away is we see these breweries every now and then in the UK. We know their names now. And you go and see them, and the breweries are the size of our Warmgate brewery. Yeah. And if you go back to before we moved up here and we had all the big tanks down there, that would have been classed as a very big brewery compared to a lot of the breweries that we saw in America.
Yeah, I remember when you went over first time, you had Matt and Lee went over, and they went to Allagash.
Oh yeah, Allagash.
And it was like, he said, but they release a beer. This is their beer of the whatever, the week or the.
Oh, it's not that. Sorry.
But they'll release a beer, and it's like everyone will turn up with their huge pickups or whatever. Turn up on the day that it's released, buy the beer, stick it in their thing, go home, done. And they'll go, well, how did you do today? Well, sold out. It's like, right, so you just sold to people who literally drove up and bought it.
One batch of beer, all in slabs, and the customers go and buy one slab of beer.
One slab, stick it in
they'll have maybe a drink in the tap room, whatever, one slab of beer, and then your whole batch is gone in a day. It's launched, it goes out, and every sale is direct to the consumer. Yeah. So you're getting the full retail margin on it, which is like a completely different model to the UK.
So it's to the local customer. You've got cash in your pocket. It's so local. I
was about to go down the tax route, and we'd have just started. Let's quickly give you the next topic.
Did we talk about this beer? Because I missed it when I was.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
I think it's. I'm sure. Is this the one that we had a couple of weeks ago? And it was. And it's mellowed. It was just very confusing.
It's Rhubarb.
I was a different one. Yeah. But this is.
They drink so many beers down the stitches and numbers office that they lose track of it.
Seriously, we do work during the day. We don't just drink beer all day. But I think this is great, and I really get the ginger from it, and normally I'm not a big fan of ginger in beers, so I love ginger.
So you're gonna love ginger beer.
And I love ginger beer.
I love ginger beer.
But I've never really been a big fan of ginger in beer. But that for me is it's a nice balance.
I think the key is also the sweetness in the background, so it balances it out. So
I'm snaffling after yours, by the
very
way.
pithy. You're taking a piss.
It's a really nice balance.
So given that we were actually supposed to talk a little bit about a specialist subject in this 30-minute slot. So it was supposed to be the actual birthday theme. So you're probably wondering what the hell Adrenalina means and why we've gone for it. Well, actually, you're probably not, because if you're drinking this at home, you've got the can in front of you, you can tell what the theme is. So if you are or aren't aware, all these beers, this is a good one from Derek as well. I'm not going to answer that now. So we wanted these series of collaborations to tie into something. So international breweries we've got down for our birthday. We've got some really cool things going on, and we didn't want to just come up with a random name for each beer. That doesn't mean anything. We wanted to try and tie it into let you guys know where the beer is from and what we've done with it. So we then realised that it's actually also Eurovision in a few weeks, and it's actually in the UK for the first time in a long time, because Sam Ryder would have won it if the war wasn't going on in Ukraine. So yeah, it's in the UK. And we thought it'd be quite a good cheesy theme to tie it all in, and it's going to be great for Chris's TikTok profile because he's going to do all sorts of
dancing and everything.
Ultimate, why are you just looking at me? Yeah, you'll be doing it as well.
Well,
so what do you think? You tell it.
So each of the collab beers for the birthday are collab vision based on Eurovision, and it's each of the countries that the breweries are from that we collab with. It's their highest entries in Eurovision over the last few years, and it's the name of the beer is the name of the song that featured in there. But we're obviously stuck with a little bit of a quandary, because how the hell do we fit America into a Eurovision when they're not part of it? And a couple of ideas came up, but the guys came up with a really, really good one, because actually 2 years ago, Flow Rider did the entry for San Marino. And Flow Rider is obviously from Florida, hence the cheesy name. And guess who's from Florida?
Absolutely.
Hidden Springs. So it was such a good tie-in, it had to be used.
Absolutely.
So we managed to somehow shoehorn America into Eurovision. So I think the guys did a really good job there of doing that, because it was that elephant in the room. We were like, oh, Eurovision would be great, but we've got an American brewery.
Don't start.
So that's where the Adrenalina comes from. It was the San Marino entry to Eurovision in 2021. It didn't win. I'm not sure where it finished, but it definitely didn't win. That's the usual story for the UK in Eurovision, isn't it? It's like, here we go. But yes, so the beers are coming out obviously for our birthday next week. We're going to be launched outside of our venues the week after, and then we're going to try and partner up with as many pubs and venues that are doing Eurovision parties as possible to try and get the beers in. So very, very rarely this happens, but it has, in that one of our pre-release, well, I say very rarely it happens quite a lot, but very rarely when you do a big series of beers like this, one of them's completely sold out before we've even launched it, which is our collab with our friends from Germany, Black Brew. So it's a New England IPA, an IPA, and all the kegs of it completely pre-sold out before we'd even started doing the launches events for this. So you probably go to some events and you might find that there's only 4 beers, because that one's very, very popular. One to look forward to in next month's box.
That's right. Yeah, you'll only get it in next month's box on the can, really. So yeah, here we are.
Well, I can't remember what's that. I'll Ghost.
What's the name?
It's a good name.
It's G-Host.
No. Spoiler alert. So
are you guys lead?
We're almost back on time again now, but we've still got loads of beer.
Are we on time? Throw us some questions.
And if you get it wrong, you have to see off your beer.
Right, I'll get this one wrong.
Righto, here's one.
Ted Danson.
There we go, yeah. You guys can answer this one.
What?
Like Star Wars beers for this year.
What are our Star Wars beers? Well, I can say one.
I think I might be able to get another one.
Which one can you get?
I think
Not
I
get them
can.
all,
I
really.
think
Well,
we
guys,
have
they're
to
free.
say.
I know they're free.
The Mandalorian is
Right, Obi-Wan cannoli
Yeah.
and
Oh god! Completely, yeah. Bubba Brett, bloody hell!
Bubba Brett's back.
The thing is,
Did
I'm
Bubba Brett ever go away?
sorry. I'm more. My new obsession being my Star Wars Lego means I'm more excited about the new launch Star Wars Lego on May the 4th than I am about our beers. I'm sorry. But yeah.
I was going to just about say, are they launching a new Star Wars Lego on May the 4th? But obviously they will do.
Exactly. What can I get after my Millennium Falcon?
What are they doing then? What are they releasing on May the 4th?
I don't know actually. I haven't looked into it, but I did see some. What was it? I don't know. I'll be stuck for a while. So there was
Some Lego stuff.
Obi-Wan cannoli.
Yeah.
So just for Bill 702260. That's a catchy name. You should you should definitely trademark that.
Bills on the internet.
That's good.
Don't talk about bills in front of Chris. He'll get angry.
Here's one for Chris.
Oh no. How much VAT is there on?
Any change to plans around some beer in Scotland?
Oh,
Due to
well,
the deposits
oh,
scheme?
Tell us,
now.
are you based in Scotland? Before we answer this one.
Yeah. Are you in the government?
So yes, as we stand right now, unless they change the DRS, the deposit return scheme in Scotland, we won't be part of it. So it will be harder to get our beer in the small pack in Scotland. We would like to be part of it. It's just very, very costly and time consuming and difficult to make it work. But we are trying to find the workarounds, and we are hoping that the loopholes, and we are hoping that SEBA and the other trade bodies will help us make this work. But yeah, it's
I think we're just keeping our powder dry.
exactly. We're looking at what other breweries are doing. We're looking at what we can do together to try and, as a collaborative group, find a way to make this work for us.
Yeah. I think it's like, it looks to me from the outside of money and all that it's a really good idea, but it's done by people who think, oh, I've got a great idea, let's do that.
Well, it's probably done by accountants to be honest.
And
That's where it all goes horribly wrong.
That's where it all goes wrong.
Yeah.
And it was like, we need to look after the planet, but also we need to understand that people who run businesses need to run a business. And I think it's punishing people for when they want to create and do something nice before. It's sort of like, because you have to pay for your can before you've actually sold it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why don't you charge me after I've sold it? Then I know how many I've sold and I can give you the money. That's easy, isn't it? So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think like a lot of things, they have the right idea in principle, but in practice it doesn't quite work. It doesn't quite work like that, unfortunately.
So there you go.
I think it'll take a while, to bed in, and we'll find a level, and hopefully,
You never know. They may
So we won't go into too much detail or boring you guys too much on this one. It's a really serious thing, but we have a lot of our core beers and the ones that we go to supermarkets and stuff are in fully printed cans that we've committed to already. And if you want to sell beer into Scotland and the deposit return scheme, you need to have a different. There's lots of different things you have to make it unique, so that it can be recycled and it can be tracked and traced. And it's just not feasible for us to have those separate cans right now. But it's something we are looking at. Sorry, I spotted a comment from Hannah there, and apologies. It was a tongue-in-cheek comment, and I shouldn't have been so glib about it. It was. I obviously get a little bit carried away when we do these things, so apologies about that. It wasn't. I know it wasn't cool. It was very tongue in cheek, and sorry for that upset you. So,
any more questions? Right, okay. Will we see the return of the Brew Your Own recipes?
Well, yes. Well, hello. I'd love to. Firstly, yes, I would love to, and I'm looking at getting the Brew Your Own recipes for I think it's the gold and maybe the, but basically not the Explorer members in the thing. So you'll have an exclusive access portal in your Brew York website, and on that, I'm looking at putting in all the brew recipes. I basically have to screw it out of Lee because he gives me the recipe. I'll put it on the website. I've come up with a thing that looks nice, like it was in the magazine. If you think about it, if I put it in a magazine, it costs us a page, so I can't put all the information for everything else that I put in there. And essentially, yeah, we will be bringing it back, but I've just got to basically hold Lee down with a staple gun or something and just get it out of him. And we'll expand it out to people who are of gold and of, what's the middle membership? I've forgotten now. I don't know, I did all the design for it.
Pick up the names.
Explorer, gold. What's the middle? He doesn't know either.
Member, yeah, the
member.
Sorry,
Anyway.
I'm confusing things. I'm trying to get the next beer lined up because we're at 5 minutes behind, and no
Anyway.
realised what I mean.
If you're in
Fernando, Felippo.
the middle and the top tier membership, there will be a pack coming soon within the next month or two where you'll get exclusive access to recipes in your own website area, and you'll notice that we'll send an email out and all of that stuff. Yeah, so there you go.
Good.
Don't expect one a month, basically, because I have to wrestle Lee, and Lee's a big slippery beast.
So are we kind of heading down the route of open source with recipes?
That's
We
how you
always
do
have
it.
been. So prior to, because we have print deadlines to get the boxes out to you guys in time, and
That's the
sometimes we
main
have to
reason,
give up
yeah.
chasing Lee for these
Yeah.
things. So Lee provides the homebrew recipe, and it got so difficult to get them that to hit the deadlines,
Yeah.
we had to swap it out for food and beer recipes and other stuff. But yeah, we should get him to spend a day doing like 10 or something, so we can do like preload the whole year.
Yeah, I've said
year's
just get
recipes.
down, and I'm happy to put in all the recipes that I've done, like for food and all of these like other things, just to make it an experience for everybody. If you want to make duck with a really nice sort of dark stout or something like that, I've done a recipe for that. I'll put it online. I've done some cocktails, so made like a dark stout again with some champagne. That's a beautiful cocktail. I think it's called a black velvet.
Black velvet, yeah.
Black velvet.
Yeah.
I've done recipes for that, so we'll stick that all online, but only if you are one of those members.
Right.
So yeah, expect that soon. Don't shout at me if it doesn't turn up immediately. It will come, like all good things.
Yes. Like this next beer.
Next,
So all good things come to those who wait. So next beer, I mentioned it earlier, is the Muir
Mower,
Slough.
Let's say it all
Slough, where
together.
the office is filmed in Tell.
That's it.
Mower Slough Tell.
Mower, Slough Tell.
So it's Fernando and Felippo, which was the this was the first ever black entry into the Eurovision. So it was a really iconic entry for the Netherlands, and really cool to be able to capture it on the can as well. So yeah, the beer itself I've not tried yet, so I'm interested to see what it tastes like. But it's an almond Tonka. Oh, someone's got to kind of put it
Let's open the can.
Almond Tonka.
Open the can.
So we mentioned earlier. Someone said about the what was the beer? The Dude Abides. About looking forward to trying that again. Well, this is the first white stout we brewed since that one. So the guys from you say it, Ant, this time.
Oh,
Mower.
Mower.
As
in your mower, Slough is in the arsehole of the universe. I'm allowed to say that because I came from around there. And Tell, the person who's the best person on radio too. So Mower, Slough, Tell.
Oh, Slough Tell. So we met them in.
Nice,
it wasn't. This one was in. my memory's failing. It wasn't Finland. It was. You guys probably don't care anyway. We met them in Scandinavia, and the first day of the festival, we had 5 bars. I think 5 bars either side of us, and then they changed the layout the next day, and they brought these guys around, and we realised that they were the brewery that do the Willy Tonka beers. And the first time I saw the Willy Tonka beers, I was like, oh my god, that's such a good name. How did we not come up with that? so we were very jealous of the Tonka-based puns. And tried their beers, really liked the Tonka thing that we're doing. And we explained to them or gave them some samples of our Tonka beers. So we had a mutual love of Tonka. And so when it came to brewing the birthday collab series, we knew that we were going to struggle because we have Lervig in the range and Moa Slautel. So we knew we'd want to do at least 2 Tonka-based beers. We didn't want to do 2 Tonka Imperial Stout, so we kind of did the best of both worlds here. We did a white stout, so it's Imperial white stout, and we got the Tonka in there, and it was Finland. What I was trying to think of because it's wrote on the notes I couldn't see. So it was in Finland, but yeah, really cool beer. I've not actually tried it until we did the sample then, and a white stout is typically brewed with all the characteristics of a normal stout, but we use pale malts, and we try and replicate the stouty flavour attributes with things like coffee beans and thick body from oats and wheat and stuff like that. So it gets the roast character, but you don't have the dark colour in the beer. So
lovely.
Very mind bending, isn't it? When you drink a pale beer and it tastes like a stout.
That's it. I love this sort of stuff. It's like you get it and you go, oh, I know what this is going to taste like. Oh, no, it doesn't. There we go.
So we have actually used cacao nibs. So when we brew our typical chocolatey stouts, we use cacao nibs in that. But cacao doesn't actually give you the the colour from the way that we infuse it. So if we were baking with it or we were doing something like that, then you'd probably get the chocolatey colour as well. But because we infuse it, we basically have a vessel, we fill it with cacao nibs, and we basically pump the beer past the cacao nibs. You get the chocolatey flavour without the colour. So it works out pretty interesting. And then we used almonds or Mark almonds.
Mark almond in there.
90 kilograms in this one. So it's the first time we've used nuts in a beer, real nuts in a beer for a long, long time, which was great for sterilising to get the place certified nut-free again. So lots and lots and lots of cleaning. And then we had to spend...
Probably great for numbers as well.
About £500 on ATB tests or swab tests. So we had to buy that many of them to keep testing all the equipment had gone through to verify it was nut free.
And how much for the almonds as well?
Oh, the almonds would be expensive as well, but it was
you can definitely taste the almonds.
Yeah,
that's a really nice beer.
That's good because I have to say that the Duda Bides I always thought that was really sweet, and it was like. If I'm drinking a stout, I want something a bit like, heavy and a bit more like sort of thing. I don't want something sweet. I'm fed up with sweet milk stouts and all that dessert in a can, etc., etc. That's not bad. It's got a bit of sweetness to it, but it isn't like just drinking sugar sort of thing.
So Bill's asked on this one whether it's a from the fridge or a let it warm up like a stout. It is definitely let it warm up. I mean, personal preference. You might prefer it, given it's visually pale. You might want to drink it a bit colder. But I'd definitely let it warm up. You get more flavour profile coming through. But it's a bit of the black IPA style. It's that type of mess with your mind. You taste what you see, but if you don't look at it, you taste it. It tastes very different.
Yeah, that's it. Is that a good thing? I mean, I love that. I think it's a great thing. I've had it in my culinary experience, and you see something, you go to like Pest and Blumenthal, and you see something, but he's giving you different stuff. But with beer, it seems like people are reviewing stuff, and they go, it doesn't taste like what it looks like, and it's like, no, but if you just open your mind a little bit, but that isn't what we need to have. Like
what the audience think of.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
What's the vibe out there?
I'm guessing by the face I can look at.
Oh, there's a face.
So there's definitely a disapproved face over there. But
Oh,
there we
thumbs up.
go. There
Yeah.
we go. It's 50-50 now. There we are.
It is different.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
But why is it different?
It needs a different name.
to Fernando and Filippo.
So it's not stout.
Oh yeah. So
Oh right. So you assume that the word stout is something dark and whatever, and right.
New category.
So like we do with like a dark IPA, but it's actually Cascadian or something like that. It's just rebrand it slightly.
I think it's the almonds that just give it a lovely kind of softness, like a toasted.
Yeah.
It's almost like kind of
It gives it the
substituting a hop,
It
doesn't
gives
it?
it a little bit of sweetness.
Sweetness
doesn't
is
it?
exactly.
Yeah. It gives it that rounded bottom sweetness.
I like it. It gives a different name to the word stout from where otherwise.
Yeah, but I think that's what it's all about. It's just trying to push the styles and change it and challenge what you think about what it should be. And that's I've never had that before, but I think it's a really nice drink.
I think we've also ended up doing a relatively strange order tonight because the beers are very, very different to what we'd normally have. So we normally end up with a couple of pales, a stout and a sour, and it's natural ascension in ABV. But yeah, because of the very different styles we've got and stuff, we've kind of jumped around a bit in styles and strength, so up and down here and there. The sour usually cleanses the palate a bit because it was quite an intense sour. I don't think it's necessarily a palate cleanser. So yeah, it's very much a big journey of big flavours tonight. It'd be interesting to see people's favourites on the chats as well. But let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. So next month, we kind of give away. We told you that you've had 2 of the birthday beers. You're going to get the next 3 next month. So what are the next 3?
Is it our birthday?
Yeah, it's our birthday in a week. So.
Come on.
So this is going to be a rarity actually, because if you normally we give you the beers before they release, but because of the way that it fell, not all the beers were packaged, but also we didn't want to put all 5 birthday beers in one box because we wouldn't be able to. Yeah, exactly. We need to spread them out over 2 boxes. But also, yeah, they weren't packaged in time. So we've got the Black Brew collab coming up, which I mentioned earlier, which is it's taken the best of what the guys in Germany do, which are very cool New England IPAs, and then giving it an English twist. So we've used German and English hops. So it's funny how we've changed now, and how much we use English hops now.
English hops.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've got the English Citra now. We've got Citra going in for
Some Fuggles in
a nice contribution. But we do have Harlequins. The Harlequins are an English hop, which is a really nice English hop. We've got.
Do we get to? Is it Matador English hops?
Yeah, we get to reclaim the VAT.
Sorry, we're doing a bit of. Sorry, yeah.
Veto. It's a veto one.
Cool Melon, which is a really cool German hop as well. So it's a really interestingly hopped IPA, 7.2%. So this one, again, I've tasted it in tank, but I'm really excited to try the final beer. I'll jump forward to Colour of Your Life, which is the Funky Fluid collab. So this is the one I'm pretty excited about because of my newfound love for banana beer. It's 6%. So this is a little bit like Juice from last year. It's going to be thicker than some of the other beers within the range, but mainly because of the amount of fruit we put in it. So guava, banana, passion fruit, and it's a pastry sour. So try it on draft if you come down to the festival. I think it might be a bit of a...
Don't let banana go off. It's absolutely...
Again, yeah, exactly. But banana does sound weird, but I'm telling you that if you try banana beer, you'll be as converted as I am. And then the one that I'm really looking forward to, which we still haven't packaged because it's going to be the one that we do the day before the birthday. It's going to be that type of beer. Is the Lervig collab, which is our 12%. It's called Give That Wolf a Cherry. So Give That Wolf a Cherry is if you remember what's it called? Give the Wolf a Banana or something like that.
Give the Wolf a Banana. Yeah.
Which
Eurovision.
if Ant's favourite band from the 90s, what's it called?
Which one?
A1.
Oh,
your favourite motorway.
Your
A1. Your favourite A road. So one of the guys from A1 apparently did a Eurovision entry with
Oh yeah,
Finland.
yeah.
Or Norway, sorry, not Finland.
Yeah, no.
So anyway, 12% collab with Lervig. So if you've never had it, you should definitely try Free Bean Stout, which is Lervig's like pinnacle of Tonka-based beer. And then we've taken that, we've done a bit of a twist on what we do with Imperial Tonka or Empress Tonka, and then we've given it a cherry on the top. So cherry Tonka, cacao and cacao stout apparently.
Double cacao
vanilla
stout.
and cacao stout, yeah,
Oh,
double cacao. So it's actually pretty cool. And then we mentioned the Star Wars beers earlier, so you can have Mandalorian in there. Apparently not the
Obi-Wan cannoli.
Obi-Wan.
And
It is. They're both in there. So I don't know why it's not on the list.
I don't know where the.
So Obi-Wan and Mandalorian will be in the next box.
Are we doing then Boba Fett as well? Or
Not
is
in
that
can.
No, not in can.
So Boba Fett. So if you don't know, Boba Fett is a real sour. So we've actually used lactobacillus. What have we used in it? I can't remember. But we've used the infectious strain of
infectious.
Yes,
brews.
exactly. It's Brett. So it's a Bretted beer. And we can't put it through our canning line because it would then contaminate any beer that we put through the canning line in the future. So, so that beer is always going to be draft only. So if you get a chance to try it, maybe on our birthday.
It's good. Actually.
It's really interesting
nice.
beer. So very, very quickly then, before we go to the final questions, we've got some events coming up. I might have mentioned this one.
What? Events?
So yeah, obviously 21st, 22nd of April, it's our birthday.
Hey.
So we've got a few tickets left.
Oh, where?
Hamley Park in Osborwick, where we are right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we've got some tickets left for the Friday evening and the Saturday evening. So not that many, but we do have some tickets available. So if you want to come down, you can still get in. And there's some really, really cool beers. I think we started sharing them online now, which beers and which session. There's also loads of tasting events going on throughout the festival. So this is kind of separate, but you need to be here to get onto the tastings. So each brewery is doing a 3 or 4 beer, tasting. So £5 for the tastings, including the samples. We've got a big event going on in London, a pub called the Hydrant. So they've got a tap takeover going on for the week, and then included on the 18th, they're going to do food and beer pairing and that. So that should be interesting. We've also got a 5 beer tasting of all the birthday beers at Warmgate. So if you can't make it down to the birthday festival for whatever reason, there is a tasting of those beers in the venue in Warmgate. That's on the Friday and Saturday, so it's a parallel with the venue.
But get your tickets online, so you can take them
All
through
online.
everything sorted. Real good.
Diggles will sort you out.
That's it.
And then the other relatively new one is actually we're going to appear at Brew LDN in a couple of weeks' time. So the 5th and 6th of May, which is a big festival down in London. So if you happen to be going, they've announced this week that we'll be pouring at the festival. So that's relatively new news. So
it is.
London, we've got a double whammy next month, or this month and next month.
Londinium.
So they're the main events. We have one more thing to cover.
Oh, what's the intro?
Yeah, just to tell you what's happening on this session next month. So next month, I'm going to take a holiday and Lee can do it. So 12th of May is the next YouTube live session. So we're going to be joined by vegan and gluten-free legends, Brass Castle. So our local friends in the industry, Brass Castle are up to brew a beer with us. We're going to brew a new cold IPA, so our new favourite style, effectively a West Coast brewed similar to lager. So that's coming out, and the guys from Brass Castle will be joining us on next month's feed.
Cool.
And then, any feedback from tonight's session or feedback in general, if you can drop it to info@brewyork.co.uk. And then, any questions from the audience or from
Smash us some questions. Come
We've
on.
got 7 minutes of questions to go.
Should we do some quick fire questions?
Throw them in there.
Alrighty.
2:30. That's the first.
Who's sat on the table at the moment?
Who's that?
That's your standard answer to any question, isn't it?
It's Lee on a little zebra thing.
I'm going to get 3D print that shit. What's that? I didn't bring my bins. Can't read it.
So it says, I've had an order from Shore Shop Brewery, a brilliant mix of beer with quirky names and artwork.
Yeah.
How about a collab? Would be a good mix for Brew York.
Yeah, they're cool. I went to Shore Shop when I went up to Manchester.
Shore Shop Redemption.
But yes.
That'd be a good beer.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, they were cool.
The name up, yeah.
Yeah, it was good little place there, sure shot. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And are there any
So Bill's-
breweries that you haven't been to?
Yes,
The ones that haven't been
Half past
started
two.
yet.
4.
Right?
So Bill's asked if there are any plans for any beers that are out of our comfort zone this year. Maybe a style you haven't done before. So we
Well.
mentioned the unbelievable Hefe.
Yeah.
So a little bit out of our comfort zone. Well, very much out of our comfort zone in terms of the last one we brewed. I remember what it was called now. It was the raspberry
Raspberry
beret. And the guy, we
or
were at a
raspberry
festival.
pie.
There was another raspberry beret. There was a
Beret, yeah.
festival, and it was a Fossgate festival. So they used to do a lot of events out on Fossgate. And I stood outside the Bluebell having a pint, chatting to John, the landlord. And he was like, "Oh, this guy wants to meet you."
Oh,
And he brought this guy up to me, this customer.
He gave you some
Yeah.
grief.
And he was like, "Oh, yeah, so you guys made that raspberry beret?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "Oh, it's the worst beer I've ever had in my life." I was like, "So you asked somebody
Thank
to come and
you.
introduce yourself to me
I
to
need
tell
to-
me that
I
feedback?"
need to tell him
I was like, "Oh,
this.
brilliant, thank you." It was actually a pretty good beer, but obviously that style's.
Yeah.
I would say that, wouldn't I?
It's tricky,
But yeah, so yeah, going out of comfort zone, definitely something we're going to do a little bit more of. The lager thing, it's not outside our comfort zone because I think, like I said earlier, we've got a great Pilsner now. We've got a great rice lager that we brewed earlier. We want to repeat brew that. We want to look at doing a few more things like that from what we've learned off our American cousins. I want some Milka pours in the UK.
Oh,
It's only like
puppy.
Pete had told us about them 6 months ago.
My
we
God,
said,
no.
who would do that?
Who would do that?
Where's
Uh,
the league on?
Yeah, where's the Rocking League on?
We rode off.
Ah.
But when it
In a
comes to-
way that if we're going to go down that route, shouldn't we also say, do you want to do some crazy beer? Yeah, we'd love to do some crazy beer. Can you buy it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you don't buy it, then we're not
Yeah,
going to do
exactly. That's the
it. We're
cool
a
thing.
business.
So what we should do is we should launch a pre-order thing for Black Eagle.
Yeah.
Let's take pre-orders for Black Eagle. As soon as we got
People
over a certain
come back.
level, we'll brew it and we'll bring it back straight away. If you guys don't buy it, we can't brew it. So Red Dancer as well, same one.
It's good.
So Rob Folks asks, when it comes to collaborations, how do you decide who you'll work with and why? Do you have a set of criteria or a certain brewer and beer style, or just friends you make for the industry events? So it's a combination of all of those. Usually it's the friend thing. So you meet people at festivals and you find that you click. And if you've got like a good relationship with them, then you try and work with them. And it could be, it could be that you love their beer. It could be that you just really like them and you want to do something with them. And it's that's usually how it starts. The other thing is sometimes you do a random reach out where you just really like their beer and you want to learn something from them, or vice versa. Or sometimes it's just opportune moments where you bump into somebody. And the Thornbridge thing was we brewed the Thorny Eagle with them, and then some Friday at their place, and that was myself and Lee have been obsessed with Thornbridge for years, proper fanboys, and they happened to be in our tap room. I was in the right time at the right place, which sounds a bit funny but I genuinely aren't in our tap room that often. And I'm looking in the audience thinking, well, I do see you there every Friday. But yeah, no, I don't actually go there that often. I go a couple of days a week usually. And I was in on a random Thursday night. And the guys from Pivovar, the local wholesaler, were in there. And they then introduced me to the guys who own Thornbridge. I was like, awesome, you brought the Thornbridge guys to our bar. And they'd already tried our beers, they liked our beers, and they were fans of ours. And that was just really humbling to hear. And we're like, well, God, we love your beer. And then I don't want to pester them. So and likewise, I was having a drink on my night off. And as they walked past again, I was like, I can't have missed this. So I grabbed them and I was like, any chance we can brew a beer together? And if you try those opportunities and they come off sometimes.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly. As Lee always says, his grandma used to say, shy bairns getting out. So there's one for you. What style's Boba Brett?
What style is Brother Brett? It's a good style. So yeah, it's more of a
It's a
saison.
funky saison,
It's a
yeah.
funky. It's sort of like
It's
imagine like you got done yourself like a hazy sort of IPA, but you let some saison get the better of it. It's pretty cool,
like
actually.
a time traveling tractor with
A
Brett
bit like the
introduced.
tractor. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit like that. It's I think it's really good actually. To be fair, I I thought I'd go, I don't like the sound of that, but I had some, and I went, that's actually really good.
Is it normally on the beer hall?
Yes, on the beer hall.
Okay. And I had some about a month ago, and
It was really good.
yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's one of those you go, oh, actually, I thought that was going to be rubbish, and I'll buy a half of it because I can for cheap, because we work
cheap.
cheap, and you give it
Half
a dip.
for half.
You give it a dip, and it's like that's
all
actually
right.
really good, actually. Yeah. So, yeah.
Can we have another question, please?
Next question.
Will there be Brew York coronation beer? So I've already got the name of the beer, but we haven't actually done one yet. When is the coronation? How long have we got?
3 weeks.
No, not enough time for
Not enough time.
labels.
So if you're a Lady Gaga fan, I want Rain on Me.
That's
And
nice.
like with King Charles dressed as Lady Gaga.
I'm not too sure about that part.
So it's a good one from Alan Smith. Any plans for more barrel-aged beers in unusual barrels? I really dislike tequila. I love the tequila barrel-aged Ghost Dimension. The barrel improved a great beer. The barrel was new to me, 100%.
No.
So one of the things you find is that barrels are really, really accessible if they're bourbon.
Yeah.
So if you're not aware, in America you can only use the oak once if you're making bourbon. So basically, I say basically a lot, don't I? So the American distillers take their bourbon, they use the barrel once, and then they have to get rid of the barrel. They can't use it again for the next bourbon. So you end up with a lot of used bourbon barrels, and they usually make their way to the UK or mainly to Scotland to become whiskey, because you can use them for whiskey. So they're readily available in the UK, and they're amazing. You get really good results from them. So we use them a lot. But the other stuff is a little bit more expensive and a little bit more risky, because there's other products and other things that could get infected or cause problems with the beers. So you've got to be a bit selective about how often you do them. So the most of our barrel-aged stock is bourbon, and then we have some really cool other items in there. So red wine is one of my favourites, when you want something that completely transforms the beer, but it's you could get some really bad results as well. We've got a lot of barrels about to go down the drain at the moment, unfortunately, which is so disappointing. Right? But it's part of what we do, and some of them are red wine barrel aged Quadimodo.
Oh,
it sounds so good. It could have been such a good beer. It's just
that's dead. Is it?
Yeah, it's completely dead. So it's so disappointing, because there's a big volume of it as well, but it's just not sellable. So sometimes you've got to take it on the chin when you do what we do with our barrel aged stuff.
That's why it costs what it costs.
Yeah.
So when people
there's a reason there's a premium, because we have to take these losses into account. So we will be doing more of them. We haven't got any tequila barrels at the moment. We do have some other really cool stuff. Off the top of the head, I can't think of what they are. So maybe on next month's question time, we'll get some answers for you and tell you some of the wacky barrels that we've got that can hopefully make sound appealing to you. But we've got two coming out for you guys. For subscribers, you're going to have 2 barrels very shortly.
There's 2 soon, and then one after that.
One Jack Daniels, which you might find a bit boring, but it's a really cool option, and one red wine.
Nice.
It's got red wine and a Jack
one.
Daniels.
Yeah.
So look out for them.
And these got some
And then-
wacky recipes.
And then there's the Buffalo Choice after that.
Yeah. The rum. We've got a really, really cool rum
It's Lee's Magic
project
Recipe.
coming out soon. Yeah.
Oh. See, if we were Lee, we would have told everyone about that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's well
It's not
completely
happening.
out
It's not
there.
happening.
So I've just looked at the time, and we're actually we're at 9 o'clock. So
Look at that.
if there's any final questions, we'll quickly answer them. If not, we'll wish you all a good night.
Yeah.
Are we doing on
But
that?
first
Pete?
of all, before we wish you
Need
good
to
night,
thank somebody, don't we?
we
In
need
the warehouse.
We need to send a shout out to
Jay.
Jason,
Oh, yeah. Defo Jay.
Lee, and Arthur. Fantastic
Warehouse
job,
team, yeah.
guys. Keep it
Big
going.
week.
One more question.
Who was the best warehouse team ever? Oh,
Yes. Oh god, you've got to take the cartoon one. You know the monster truck cartoon one.
I can sort that shit out.
So we're gonna have
Basically, they're
an
saying-
enamel badge of Lee on the rocking zebra.
I didn't think of that before, but now I can actually see it now. I can imagine the design.
Gold card members only. Yeah. It could be a 3-year anniversary present.
That is, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm even gonna. I might even design that on the day off.
So, thanks to everyone in the audience, and thanks to everyone at home who's joined us tonight. We hope you haven't missed Lee too much, and we hope that the enamel badge will make it worth your while. But cheers, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight.